is your AEW Dynamite Review Fyter Fest 2020. I want to tell you guys something right now before we even begin the review tonight. We don't run a sloppy shop right here on Off the Script.
Delete! This is mine.
Alive with it. People still think. What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining us right here on Off the Script. This is your AEW Dynamite Review for Wednesday, July 1st, 2020. We have the 4th of July holiday fast approaching this weekend. And AEW kicked it off early with an absolute bang. Fyter Fest tonight, 2 hours. Flowed beautifully, a mini-esque pay-per-view on TNT tonight. I'm joined by my good friend Jesse. Jesse, not much of Britt Baker tonight, but man, oh man, what a show for AEW tonight with Fyter Fest.
Is that a coincidence? It was an awesome show, and I saw Britt Baker once.
I know. I know. She wasn't even on camera, really. No microphone in front of her, nothing. We got a Fyter Fest free Britt Baker show tonight.
Awesome. And it was not a sloppy shop.
No. We don't run sloppy shops here, bro. We don't run sloppy shops. Only down in Winter Park, Florida. That little fucking operation they got running out of that gymnasium down there with no masks and a fucking beaver telling no masks and no social distancing. But we'll talk about them tomorrow afternoon. Let's talk about AEW Dynamite tonight. Big show for AEW. Cody defended the TNT Championship against Jake Hager. And I was very much looking forward to this one after that really nice press conference that they had last week on Dynamite. Cody made 3 successful TNT Championship title defenses after winning it initially at Double or Nothing against Lance Archer. Hager entered the match losing 3 matches in a row, and those losses came against Jon Moxley in an AEW Championship match on Dynamite, to the Elite in the Stadium Stampede match, and then again at Double or Nothing in a trios match against the Best Friends and Orange Cassidy. That was on Dynamite, not at Double or Nothing, on Dynamite. So this is a big match for Cody. This is a big match for Hager. We'll go over what happened there in what I thought was a very good TNT Championship match. Kenny Omega and Adam Hangman Page, they defended the Tag Team Championships against the Best Friends, Omega and Page. They are undefeated, clearly, because they're still the Tag Team Champions in 2020. Trent and Chuck Taylor, they carry a 10-3 record into this match. So this was going to definitely be a main event caliber match, especially after what we've seen Trent and Kenny Omega do solo, one-on-one, several weeks ago on Dynamite when they were operating out of the Nightmare Factory. Hikaru Shida defended the AEW Women's Championship against Penelope Ford. We'll go over that. And I believe, Jesse, tonight you mentioned that I didn't really see it tonight, but Penelope Ford was trending on social media after this match with Shida tonight. What'd you think about that one?
She made it into the top 10, trending.
That's crazy.
Hey, man, I think a star is born. I think they gave her a shot, and I think she took advantage of it. She made the most of it, and I think Penelope Ford is one of the biggest winners of the entire night on this show. Absolutely,
and the match that she had with Shida, I don't really think anyone lost there. Shida didn't look weak because of the Falcon Arrow, and Penelope Ford did not look weak taking a loss to Shida. We'll go over that a little bit later in the show as well. Private Party versus Santana and Ortiz. some old school House of Glory here on Dynamite. And then obviously in the opener, we got MJF and Wardlow versus Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, the Jurassic Express. What a match that was. Jericho was on commentary for most of the evening. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll go over it all right here on the podcast. Thank you so very much for joining us here live on YouTube. This is actually the first time I'm live with Jesse doing the AEW Wednesday night thing. I see he's got an Oscar mask behind him. What the hell is that thing?
Hey, man. Oscar's got to protect my office, man, you know? She won't get jobbed out here in this office, so don't worry.
You mean to tell me Oscar's mask is going to protect you more than Monday Night Raw Creative is going to protect Oscar?
I got something better for that. I got a remote control. I found the cure to Raw, man. I just...
You found what? You found the cure for Monday Night Raw? What are you talking about? You got Guy... Oh, the remote control. I was going to say, you got Guy Fieri in your fucking kitchen cooking your dinner every night? What the fuck's going on?
No, man. That's
the universal sign language for Monday Night Raw. The lowest. This is the third lowest rating this week in the history of the show. Good job, Bruce. Good job. It ain't working, like I said.
I started playing a new game. It's like I can either change the channel and watch something else. So this is what I do. I'll start the show, and as soon as something cringe comes on, I just wait like this, and then I change it. Or if it's like a good party night, every time something cringe comes on, take a drink.
Oh, look at that! What's the beverage? You didn't tell me there was any alcoholic beverages ready to go. What the fuck you drinking?
Crown Royal cranberry juice.
Look at that. We got our own Adam Hangman Page on the show tonight. Oh, by the way, your thumb probably gets a massive workout just waiting there because it's like almost every 5 minutes you got the trigger finger ready for Monday Night Raw.
No, it won't take long. You wait for the show to start, and as soon as something cringe comes on, you change it, and I can put it down. You can wait a good 15 minutes.
Your thumb may be so tired you might not have any energy for SmackDown.
Oh God, dude.
Oh, you don't even watch SmackDown. Never mind.
Not even watch SmackDown.
Anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me here on the podcast. This is Off the Script. We're here every single Wednesday for Dynamite. Jesse and I are here every single Wednesday. If you guys are new around here, hit that subscribe button. Turn on that bell for all notifications. Thank you guys for live tweeting with me tonight on Twitter at JDfromNY206. I was ready with those save draft Twitter messages on Twitter tonight with those special hashtags that they were using, picture in picture. So if I get a phone call on Zoom by the Le Champion, you guys will definitely know about it. Jesse, what did you think about AEW's marketing tool tonight about just keeping you in check with the picture-in-picture so that you don't switch over to NXT tonight? What did you think about their marketing tool and how they kept everybody involved so that you don't go over to the enemy side?
I thought it was brilliant. I was sitting there trying to guess the next fucking hashtag because there's no way you're going to be the first 10 out of a million. So when I saw the one that said private party, I'm like, okay, all right. And it said, okay, the next one's coming up. I tweeted out fighter best friends. I was like, come on.
That's exactly what I thought it was too.
Yeah, like 3 minutes before they put it out. If they put that one out, I win. And there was something else. I was like, fuck these guys.
Listen, if I win, I will give you the Zoom call with Jericho, and I'll take the prize package or whatever the fuck it is.
There we go.
All right.
There we go.
I'm sure you got some questions for him.
I wonder if I can change it from Jericho over to like Penelope Ford or something like that.
Okay.
I mean,
okay,
just
see what you're doing. Like, listen, I may put in a favor to Tony Khan and have him just say, fuck Jericho, I'll give you Britt Baker. All right, moving on. Thank you, guys. He needed to take a drink because Britt Baker makes him flush. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, Twitter at JDfromNY2. Oh, I'm telling you, bro. When we are at another convention, I'm buying you a Britt Baker meet and greet. I'm telling you right now. At JDfromNY206 on Twitter. Thank you guys so much for tweeting with me. If you want to support a little bit more than usual, Patreon's always open for you guys. Patreon.com/JDfromNY206. If you missed my Monday Night Raw review, go and check it out. It is live on the channel right now, along with Off the Script 332. Thank you for all the kind words on OTS this weekend. We got another great show coming up this weekend for the 4th of July. Everything that you might have missed last weekend, including the start of this week, is down in the description below. And today's podcast is brought to you by Audible, audibletrial.com/offthescript. go and get yourself Jim Ross's new audio book, which he narrates himself under the black hat. You guys can get that for free just for listening to Jesse and I tonight. That is audibletrial.com/offthescript. So thank you guys for all of that. Let's get into the top of the show, man. We got the opening match, which was MJF and Wardlow versus the Jurassic Express. I was very much looking forward to this match because I think Luchasaurus and Wardlow have great chemistry. We know MJF and Jungle Boy have unbelievable chemistry, and I thought this was going to be a really, really great open to what AEW said was going to be a big night, and it absolutely delivered. MJF entered the ring in what I thought was a bathrobe. Apparently, Jericho thought it was a muumuu. And MJF came rolling to the ring in a long pink robe. He tried to talk on the house mic. His music was still playing. He told them to shut the fucking music off. Nobody listened to him. He was clearly frustrated. But then he got on the microphone and spoke about how he's tired of beating these guys over and over again. He asked why Jungle Boy wants him to keep beating him up because he thought he'd have more fun counting his daddy's money in California. So I'm not surprised that MJF went there, but he went there. MJF said that they're in a ratings war, and that's why he is on the front line. What'd you think of that line, Jesse? And you think MJF is a brave soldier for manning the front lines against NXT? You think it's something that AEW could use to their advantage in the future when he obviously becomes the AEW champion?
I think MJF is the kind of guy that can throw shade like that. And as far as NXT or anybody at WWE is concerned, trying to retaliate or say anything back, they can't. MJF is bulletproof and he will murder them on social media. I thought it was brilliant. What are they going to say to MJF that he won't just bury him for in one tweet?
Absolutely nothing. Nobody on that roster should say anything to MJF, period.
Nothing. He pretty much got the green light from Tony to be nothing but an absolute heel. And Tony will go cover it up with the PR on the other end.
Absolutely. I think so. I'd love to see that, actually.
Yep.
MJF came out in the wardrobe. He said the promo. He said whatever he had to say. And then him and Jungle Boy, went right at it because they went out to the ring. They stormed out to the ring. They didn't even wait for their fireworks to go off. They wanted to be in there with both MJF and Wardlow, and we were on here. So MJF and Jungle Boy started off hot. They were brawling, and they were picking up pretty much where they left off, one-on-one at Double or Nothing back in May. Jungle Boy went for a reverse Rana on MJF on the apron, which he did hit in their one-on-one match at Double or Nothing, but MJF stopped him, and he had Jungle Boy hanging over his back, upside down. That's where Wardlow just comes over and boots Jungle Boy right in the face, being held in position by MJF in that reverse Rana position. He was beat down by the heels, was Jungle Boy, until Luchasaurus comes in off the hot tag. Luchasaurus works over both Wardlow and MJF off the hot tag, clothesline, super kick, leg sweep on Wardlow. MJF tags out to Wardlow. Now both giants are in the ring, legal. They went blow for blow. Luchasaurus with a jumping heel kick. Both men took each other out with two big power moves soon after. Luchasaurus slammed Wardlow to the mat with a choke slam. Lucha then tagged out to Jungle Boy. He ran wild on MJF with two suicide dives and then a tope con hero on MJF to the outside. Wardlow tried to stop him on the outside, but Luchasaurus did one better and had a step-up somersault over the top onto Wardlow. Jurassic Express then with a double-team cutter on MJF, and they got a 2 count. Wardlow was back in, who was tagged in because he was not the legal man. MJF was at this point, but he tagged back in. Luchasaurus with a reverse Rana, or actually a Rana, not a reverse Rana, on Wardlow. Jungle Boy with a nasty reverse Rana on Wardlow. So we had Luchasaurus with a Hurricane Rana, and then Jungle Boy with a reverse Rana on Wardlow, which looked completely nasty. Luchasaurus then with a sit-out powerbomb on MJF. He bounced back up and hit a super kick, and then fell right back to the mat. At this point, all 4 men were down, and then they all kipped up, having a 4-way face-off with each other. Jungle Boy then hit a nasty destroyer off the back of Luchasaurus onto Wardlow. Wardlow tossed Stunt, who came in to interfere here because whatever, he always does. So he tossed Stunt off the stage, onto Jungle Boy, onto the floor. Wardlow then hit a beautiful senton. Kind of overshot it a little bit, but he nailed it. Wardlow has a beautiful swanton on Luchasaurus for a 2 count. The finish saw MJF then accidentally hit Wardlow with his Dynamite Diamond Ring. Wardlow avoided an accidental punch with the ring, but MJF had his arms kicked into Wardlow's face. That's how that happened. Luchasaurus hit a series of kicks and pinned Wardlow with a standing moonsault. And keep in mind, guys, MJF was not pinned here. Wardlow was pinned, and the babyfaces get the win over MJF and Wardlow. Jesse, what'd you think about this match? All that I had in my mind was this was a great open, and there was a reason why these guys were chosen to open the show. You've seen it here tonight. They all work incredibly well together, and MJF was not pinned. I think that's the most important aspect to take away from this entire thing.
Yeah, well, you said you were looking forward to the match. I mean, honestly, I was not. Remember, I've had an issue with how Luchasaurus and Jurassic Express has been booked over the last few weeks.
More so. I say that more so because I just love the back and forth between MJF and Jungle Boy. I think they have just natural chemistry where you can kind of see the way they work together, and you can see that it's going to be one of those fight forever type of deals between those guys. I could absolutely see that.
Yeah, I think I even said that the first time I saw them in a match. It just looked like that we were looking at a world title match less than 5 or 6 years from now. Right there in that ring at that given moment. I mean, it looks like we have these two guys at the core of AEW, and they're going to be at the top of AEW in just a few years. I wasn't looking forward to the match, but man, when they got into it, I got all of that Luchasaurus mojo back. It looks like he changed up his ring style a little bit. If nothing else, he at least changed up the order of his high spots and when they come and things like that. Because it was just too formulaic. It was just he's going to do this, he's going to do that. Now, it was better. It was exciting. It was, oh, man, Jungle Boy is doing this. Here comes Marco. Even Marco played a halfway decent role in this match. But
yeah, because he wasn't there. He just picked that one spot, and then that was it. And then, obviously, the spot was Wardlow just throwing him into the fucking universe up in the air, and then boom.
Awesome. It was awesome. This match, man, I don't think they could have kicked it off with anything better. I think with everybody they have available to them right now, this was the best match to put on first. And these guys took advantage of the opportunity, and they delivered on every last single level. I loved it, man.
You know what it is? I'm paying attention to Luchasaurus. I think Luchasaurus is great. Don't get me wrong. I've been paying attention to Luchasaurus for a long time now, ever since he signed with AEW. But now that you mention it week in and week out, I've been paying even closer attention to it. And I don't know exactly what it is. I see exactly what you're talking about, but I'm trying to figure out, like, why you're feeling the way that you are about Luchasaurus. Is it the, I guess, the setup of the maneuvers? Is it the order in which he does them? Or is it the methodical way that he does everything that he does? It's like he can do what he does, but I think it's just the execution factor of it. I don't really know what it is. He might be doing it slower than he should be doing it. I don't know exactly what it is, but I feel like it's not fluid, and I feel like he just does, and it's almost as if he's moving in slow motion.
Well, here's another good point to it, too. With Jungle Boy, they constantly build to the hot tag. So who's getting the hot tag every time? It's going to be the big guy.
Yeah.
So not too many times you see the big guy in there getting beat down and you go tag into to Jungle Boy. But in this one, it didn't seem like that was going to be the goal. And I guess in the last few matches, it does come up like, okay, here's Jungle Boy. He's going to start off hot. He's going to get beat down, hot tag, bicycle click, standing moonsault. And it didn't stick to that script. It did not stick to that script. It was unpredictable. I was sitting there saying, here comes the standing moonsault. Here comes this. None of that stuff came in the order that I thought it was going to come. None of it. Even though he may have hit it throughout the match, it wasn't the same, here's the order, the Cena-like 5 moves of doom. It wasn't like that. It wasn't as predictable. It had me guessing, and it was a big spot, and it was done at the right time every time. It wasn't like, okay, he has to get this in. Here it is. He has to get this in. No, this is a good spot for a bicycle kick. This is a good spot for an enziguri. This is a good spot for a standing moonsault. It was produced perfectly.
Yeah. No, listen, he works and he executes very smoothly. It's just I think the pacing of it is the problem for me. But yeah, I mean, I thought this was a great match. I love what they all did here. MJF is just money in everything that he does. Jungle Boy has gotten so much better. Luchasaurus, I've been a fan of Luchasaurus. I see what you're talking about. And Wardlow, man, I'm telling you, Wardlow has impressed me week in and week out with what he's doing. I mean, when Wardlow was first introduced, I'm like, I give this guy absolutely nothing. I was ready to give him nothing, and then he proved me wrong, and I'm glad he proved me wrong. He's fucking great. Wardlow is absolutely great at what he does.
I think these big guys that come out here, these Wardlows, these Brian Cages, I think maybe over at the sloppy shop, they might have a clear path to the top. But over in AEW, you got a big muscle-bound guy. I think you have a bigger hill to climb because the fan base in AEW want to see work rate. And traditionally, these guys, these big muscle-bound meatheads, they don't have that work rate. They come in and they just, I'm big, so you got to sell for me. And the fans at AEW won't buy into that. Wardlow can work in the ring, and he has size. So that means he's a winner. He is a winner right there.
And this is the difference between WWE and AEW. I mean, outside of, I would say, Braun Strowman, who's on TV every week, and now we got fucking Big Slow on TV. WWE really doesn't have any big, giant guys that they can kind of lean on. Meanwhile, in AEW, you got Brian Cage, you got Lance Archer, you got Luchasaurus, and you got Wardlow. They're all big fucking guys, but they are the new standard of what a big guy is. This is why I'm so against Braun Strowman, and I'm sure you're thinking the same thing. Why you're so against Braun Strowman when he's on TV, and especially now as Universal Champion. Everybody in WWE, you listen to the fucking blue check marks and the shills on social media. Braun Strowman's a one-of-a-kind athlete. He's a fucking giant. He's one of those guys that commands attention. I find nothing fucking remotely positive coming out of Braun Strowman whatsoever. This is the type of big guy that I want to see on TV, not the fucking old standard like Braun Strowman. He does nothing. He does nothing to keep you invested and interested in the match. AEW struck gold with who they have. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I don't want to like put Braun down as far as like him being here in wrestling, but the thing is, he's not impressive as a pro wrestler. He's impressive as a strongman. He's impressive as an arm wrestler. He's impressive, lifting weights, but he is not impressive in the ring. When they introduced him into the Wyatt family, he was nothing but a silent heavy, which is just the role he needs. Yeah. All right. But in that role, they expanded it. They wanted to move him out. I mean, I get that. You just can't have him be a heavy forever. But at the same time, it doesn't make him a world champion either. And he hasn't improved in the ring, so I could not put a title on him. He is not a wrestler at all. He's a big, scary-looking, strong dude who I would not want to mess with. But I don't want to see him sports entertain.
No, and like I said, I'm glad AEW has who they have because this is going to be the new standard for pro wrestling as far as big guys go. And one of those big guys was actually in the next segment. Lance Archer, after this match, was in the crowd with Jake the Snake Roberts. And Lance Archer was attacking Joey Janela. Sonny Kiss came out to Janela's aid. Jake Roberts was laughing because Lance Archer tried to get his hands on Joey Janela. And if he did, I'm sure it would end up the same way that everybody ended up at the hands of Lance Archer. I'm going to tell you, man, I'm looking forward to this match between Archer and Janela. Not necessarily because I'm a Joey Janela fan or I'm invested in anything Joey Janela does, especially now that he's with fucking Sonny Kiss. I could not give a single shit about the pairing itself. But I'm interested because I think Lance Archer is great. And number two, Joey Janela is a guy that doesn't give a fuck. Joey Janela is going to go out there and make Lance Archer look great. And I honestly think this match is going to be a brutal affair next week for week 2 of Fyter Fest.
I'm hoping for a squash. Somewhat of a pretty big squash between smashing him and smashing Sonny Kiss.
Well, he can smash Sonny Kiss all he wants, but Janela I know is going to get in some offense, and he's going to make those big moves from Archer look really damn good. That's what I'm looking forward to.
He can because I mean Joey is a phenomenal seller too, and that's probably his biggest strength, to be honest. He sells, awesomely. But What are we investing in here? Trying to put Archer in a long drug out match with Joey Janela?
Oh, nothing.
Nothing.
This is pretty much just a reset for Lance Archer.
Yeah.
Have him squash these two clowns and then move on to something more substantial.
Yeah, he needs to murder him, man. I mean, what are we trying to do? Keep Janela strong for Archer? No, I mean, Archer can murder, can legit just kill. I mean, both these guys, and neither one will be any more hurt or worse off than they were when they started that match.
Yeah.
Janela or Kiss. I mean, just kill him, and it'll build up Archer, which is what you actually want. So.
Absolutely. Shout out to Rusty in the chat, the 414. I see you, bro. Hope all is well with you. And I'm glad you're tuning in tonight for Jesse and I during Off the Script and AEW Dynamite.
Rusty, thank you. Cyrex, I got your DM. I like.
Salrex is a beast. He made us this beautiful layout, and he's got a thumbnail coming. Hardest working graphics guy in the business. The only one I go to. The only one I will continue to go to. Nobody else. Anyway, Jesse, I got some news here from the AEW front, being that we are going to now talk about the Women's Championship. Hikaru Shida, who I love, versus Penelope Ford, an up-and-coming female star in AEW. Her star is shining brighter week by week. But there could be another one. Now, I don't think it's going to happen, and a lot of people think that it should happen, including Big Swole. Big Swole actually says Tessa Blanchard should sign with AEW. Now, she actually responded to a tweet from a fan about how she'd feel about seeing Tessa in AEW, and Big Swole said that professionally, her smartest choice is AEW. And she says this, and I quote, "Professionally, in my opinion, her wisest choice is AEW. In our company, she can have growth, plus her father is here. He's a pastor, and she can get all the spiritual guidance she needs in AEW. Now, obviously, there's no word about AEW being interested in Tessa. All I heard since she was released from Impact Wrestling was that WWE is interested. WWE sent out feelers. WWE is the front runner for Tessa Blanchard. I gave my reasons why on the podcast quickly. I don't think Tony Khan is going to be interested in Tessa because of everything that he's done to be just in the right regarding all these movements on social media, with all the COVID stuff that he's doing. Tony Khan is walking a line in which he wants to legitimately do right for AEW. I don't think bringing in Tessa is going to do right for AEW in Tony Khan's eyes. Tessa going over to WWE, I don't know where she would go. She's obviously groomed for the main roster. She's only 24 years old. I could see her going to NXT and getting her feet wet with Rhea Ripley and Candice LeRae and Dakota Kai and Io Shirai. I could absolutely see that, but I just think the marriage made in heaven here is the nefarious WWE, who don't give a fuck about anything, so they're not really going to give a shit about Tessa Blanchard's past. And then on the other side, AEW, who's trying to do right. So where do you think she ends up? And do you think she ends up in WWE like everybody's predicting?
She doesn't end up on AEW because Tony Khan is not going to do what Vince is going to do. See, wherever Tessa signs, I mean, if you want to go out and you want to run that risk to sign her, chances are you need to take advantage of it and try to push her at least. Tony Khan's not going to bring her in and push her. So, I mean, what's the goal of Vince? He's going to bring her in, try to give her a push, but ultimately he just wants her to lose to Charlotte, and then he'll dump her back in catering. That's all he wants. He wants to pick her up, check that box for Charlotte, and then after that, he won't care anymore. Because what is the purpose? These guys canceled the Moolah Battle Royal because people complained to sponsors. What are they going to do when they sign Tessa Blanchard?
I don't know what they're going to do. They might have to fucking cancel Tessa Blanchard altogether because, like I said on the show this weekend, and I know you agree with that as well, everywhere she goes, no matter what happens, you know, she could debut in the Royal Rumble in 2021. She could debut in the fucking Royal Rumble in 2025. It doesn't matter where she is and what year she debuts with anybody. Whatever she said and her past is going to follow her around like a fucking ghost I see on Ghost Adventures when I'm watching Zach Bagans do his thing. That shit is going to haunt her for the rest of her career, and she's not going to escape it. As soon as she gets to WWE, it's going to be brought up again. As soon as she's in a title match with Charlotte at WrestleMania, it's going to be brought up 10 times as worse. She will not go anywhere without that being an issue.
No. And if WWE actually is trying to get her, if anything, he's just trying to get her at a huge discount because he knows he can pay pennies on the dollar for Tessa Blanchard right now. Because there's almost no way he's gonna make his money back on a Tessa Blanchard investment. There's almost no way. She is way too hot right now. There's no way you put her on TV and there's gonna be no reaction other than everything that she's done. Twitter doesn't forgive, and especially don't forgive this fast. So, and she's not only that, she's done nothing to make it better. Big Swole making this statement, maybe it was a good thing as far as peer-to-peer goes, but look at the first word she said in her statement. The very first thing she said was professionally. Personally, she can't stand her.
Yeah.
But professionally, as a business move, it would be the best choice for her. But personally, if you ask her on the side, I'm sure she would say she doesn't want to work with her. Everybody in this chat right now, everybody listening to us right now, you sitting over there, everybody knows that the most important thing between two performers in the ring, you have to trust the other person with your body and your safety. Who would trust Tessa Blanchard, right? If you put Tessa Blanchard in a match with Big Swole, why in the hell would Big Swole feel comfortable taking a big dive or a big spot and trusting Tessa Blanchard to do the right thing? Now, what if Tessa Blanchard actually legitimately messes up? It happens all the time. Is anybody going to sit here and say, well, that wasn't on purpose? Or maybe she would have been more careful if, Big Swole was, that's always going to be in the back of your head. Always.
Well, the thing is here, I also wanted to elaborate on Tessa, even professionally with what Big Swole said. I don't even think that's the right move for her professionally, because if she comes on in to AEW, what is she going to do in AEW? I feel like, yeah, Big Swole, but Big Swole's not really there yet. Britt Baker, yeah, she's not really there yet either, and she's out right now, which is a double whammy. Nyla Rose, not really fucking fiending to see, Nyla Rose versus Tessa Blanchard. Penelope Ford, she's not there yet, though she has great promise. Riho, I'm not really itching to see that one either. And then a bunch of other Japanese women that AEW can probably bring on in. You got Bea Priestley, who they can bring in eventually when things ease up a little bit. But the only match that she really has is Hikaru Shida upon signing with AEW. Meanwhile, if you put her in WWE, it's a completely different story. At least she has something to work for and something to work with. And they're building the Women's Championship around Tessa, but you also got other components as well that kind of balance everything out. She's got a nice, chunk of competition over there. In AEW, I feel like if she comes on in, she's going right to the top. What are you going to build the entire division around? They got nobody.
If there's nothing, the women's division in AEW needs legitimate help. They could use the help of someone with the star power of a Tessa Blanchard. But unfortunately, none of that star power is any good anymore, because if they bring her in and put her where she needs to be on the card, it's actually detrimental to the entire women's division in AEW.
It would be. She can't lose.
No, it's not only that. She's the focus. Everybody's talking about how she shouldn't be here, or how she should be here, or maybe she needs a second chance, or maybe she should be kicked out. Nobody's focusing on how they're trying to improve the division. They're all talking about how horrible or good it is that they have Tessa Blanchard.
We'll see. I'm excited to see where she ends up, when she ends up. Where do you think, I would say, let me rephrase that. How long do you think she sits out? Or does it even matter? Because her contract right now, it ended June 30th. She can sign right now with anybody and show up next week on WWE TV.
I think it does. I think it how long she sit out, I don't know. But to just pop up at a promotion right now, it's not going to work. She needs to probably sit out, let it die down for a little bit, maybe do some indie appearances, maybe get some credibility in a locker room to get spread amongst her peers, and maybe get comfortable to an organization where they won't reject her. because right now I can see her getting rejected in a lot of female locker rooms, which is not going to be good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
this is going to be definitely an interesting situation to follow. I will definitely keep you guys updated on the podcast with Tessa's situation, where she signs, where she doesn't sign, and the ramifications of that in the weeks to come. Penelope Ford versus Hikaru Shida for the AEW Women's Championship. This one was very good. Shida is excellent. She's my favorite female by far in all of AEW. And a lot of people can actually say that and will say that about Penelope Ford simply because of the promise that she has, not only from a character perspective, but actually an in-ring perspective as well. This might have been, Jesse, Penelope Ford's best match to date, and there's no losers here, like we mentioned in the beginning of the show. Shida won. Obviously, she retained the championship. Penelope Ford lost, but at the end of the night, she was made to look like a winner, and Hikaru Shida retained the AEW Women's Championship. How far do you think this match is going to take Penelope Ford now, as far as management goes? Where does she go from here? Because clearly, from what I've seen and the match that they laid out for us, which I'm sure Tony Khan had a huge hand in, they have a lot of promise. Management does in Penelope Ford, the way that she was booked tonight to lose. She looked great.
they do. I watch Dark every week, obviously. But I also watched the Tony Khan podcast with Aubrey and Tony, and he speaks very highly of Penelope Ford, man. I mean, you can kind of get the feeling that they're gonna try to do some things with Penelope Ford. She's gotten gradually better every week on Dark. She has. I mean, and the spots that they use her in, the matches they give her, and the people that she's worked with, she's gradually looked better and better every week. So when they put her in this spot, I mean, anybody who watches Dark will sit and tell you, okay, she's ready. I think she deserves it. People who don't will be like, I don't know. I don't know if Ford's ready. I mean, she's gotten better, man. I mean, and she's fluid. She looks like she's comfortable and knows what she's doing. I'm going to pick somebody at random where that's not the case. Let's say Britt Baker. Let's try that one. She looks like she's trying to remember her moves written on the back of her hand or something. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't look like her natural flow of movement. It's hard to explain. I don't know if anybody else sees what I'm trying to explain. But when these two, when Shida and Ford moved, it looked like they just knew what they were doing together. It looked like they worked together before. It looked like they were comfortable in the moves they were doing, which is all you could really ask. Instead of looking like you just not comfortable and you just stiff and not moving. Baker is at that level, and Ford has gradually gotten better at everything she's done in the ring. I was highly impressed with this performance.
You know what I love about this? Again, I'm not the biggest Penelope Ford fan, but I appreciate what she's done in recent months to get better, and I see that she's actually putting in the work. It's easy to look at somebody, because I'm very critical of everything that I see and everything that I watch. I mean, all you need to do is just watch me on what I do and what I say about WWE and the things that happen over there. I'm very critical, and it's my job to be critical. Sometimes I come off as, you know, a little too hard, or I come off, very, very brash. But with Penelope Ford, it's easy to look at her and think, oh, she can't wrestle. She's a beautiful girl. She can't wrestle. She could just sit there and just stand there and look like a valet and do valet-type things and throw a slap here and just stand there and look beautiful, right? But when she gets in the ring, she's got the big Shawn Michaels like sunglasses on, and she's got the blonde hair, and then she gets in the ring and she's like, oh shit, she can actually move. Like, what the fuck is this? So with that, you kind of look at her and it's almost as if, she's got a big surprise coming, because don't stereotype me, motherfucker. I'm going to get in the ring and I'm going to show you what I can actually do. And when she gets in the ring, it is very impressive for somebody that young and somebody that looks like that. Normally, when we both sit here and we both go back and forth, and normally when you look like Penelope Ford, you're going to end up like Eva Marie. It is the complete opposite. That's what I appreciate about her. She's putting in the fucking work to get better.
Clearly she is. Anybody who's watched her start off in the company and then watch her tonight can see the growth. If you just saw her for the first time tonight, then you should be happy with what you saw. If you've seen her from the start, then you should be highly impressed with where she is.
And that's the one thing that I cherish most when watching pro wrestling. Not only just watching it, but doing what I do in House of Glory, and I watch everybody work so hard, and I sit there and I call what I see in the ring, and I see everybody from every show that we do just get better and better and better and better. That is the most gratifying thing for me. And when I see someone like that, not only in AEW and NXT or somebody new on the indies and they make their break into the WWE or an AEW, I love watching that growth, and that's the one thing that I find to be the most satisfying out of everything. But Shida and Ford here to start things off got face-to-face. Sabian got involved and actually shoved. He physically put his hands on Hikaru Shida. Aubrey Edwards, who was the referee of this match, then kicked him out of the ringside area. He took Shida's kendo stick in disgust because he was upset about being tossed out. And then he took the kendo stick, Jesse, and I don't know if you noticed, but he started smoking it like a cigarette.
No, I missed that part.
He actually took the kendo stick and started smoking it like a cigarette and then walked away with Shida's go-to in the kendo stick. Big flying knee at the bell by Shida. Ford bounced back with a sunset flip for a 2 count. Both ladies were on the outside now after Shida hit a basement drop kick. Ford Irish whipped Shida into the barricade, but Shida pretty much no-sold that. Took control by slamming Ford on the ring apron, followed by a big knee. Back in the ring, Ford in control with her gymnastics. Back elbow, a big broski boot. I'm expecting Zack Ryder in AEW any week now. And a German suplex for a 2 count. We go to the first commercial break. Back from commercial, Ford had a camel clutch on Shida. Shida reached the bottom rope, broke that hold. Shida tried to fight back with some stiff shots. Ford executed a nice reverse DDT for a 2 count. Both women up now. They're both slapping each other in the face, making Alexa Bliss proud. Shida went with a step-up enziguri to break up that back and forth. But Ford comes back with a nice pump kick, which I see a lot of people doing nowadays. It's no longer the suicide dive. It's now the pump kick. Everybody's doing a fucking pump kick. Ford went for a handstand cutter, but Shida caught Ford in a sleeper. Shida released the hold and applied a backbreaker, which they botched. Shida went right back to it, and they made a nice recovery there on the slight botch. Shida hit a Falcon Arrow, but Ford, in the Falcon Arrow pinning position, somehow reversed a pinfall in her favor for a close 2 count. Shida with a jumping knee. Ford was down. Shida up top for a drop kick, but Ford sidestepped and did one of her Matrix-like bends. Hit a stunner for another close 2 count. Ford, at this point, Jesse, I don't know why she went outside. Maybe it was because she was waiting for Kip Sabian to come on out. She just goes outside by the timekeeper's area. I'm assuming this was out of frustration. She rolled to the outside and grabbed the Women's Championship title. Aubrey Edwards went after her. They were arguing back and forth. Kip Sabian ran back out with the kendo stick. He took a huge swing at Shida. She ducked, and the kendo stick dropped out of Kip Sabian's hands. He got nailed with the kendo stick by Shida. Ford jumped back in, looking to take advantage of the distraction, hit a stunner for a near fall. Shida then hit a Falcon Arrow at the end. Ford kicked out of the Falcon Arrow. Shida then, to win it, hit a huge running knee strike ×2 for the win, and she retains the AEW Women's Championship. Really, really good match here. Who do you see Shida going after next? Who is it going to be? Is it going to be Big Swole? Is Britt Baker going to be back from injury at this point? Who is going to be next in line before Britt Baker gets that title shot at what I'm assuming will be All Out?
Yep. Ugh. I guess what I think could be 2 different things. I don't know. It looks like they might be keeping Britt Baker on TV because she should be back. For Shida, I hope not. I mean, I don't know. I would rather see Nyla Rose get back in there again. It looks like they're setting up Baker for Big Swole as soon as she comes back. So who's next for Shida? I'll put it back in the ring with Ford. Somehow rematch it. Because
Possibly, maybe because of what happened with Sabian tonight. But I'm thinking if Ford looked really good tonight in the way that she did, and she actually ended up getting a W even though she took an L tonight, what about building, because AEW did a great job in solidifying that Penelope Ford is going to be a very good part of this growing and developing women's division. Why don't they do the same thing with like an Anna Jay? Give Anna Jay some matches on Dynamite in the weeks leading up to whatever. It could be Fight for the Fallen. It could be sometime in between Fight for the Fallen and All Out. Give her some wins. Show us what she can do. Maybe she can do the same thing that Penelope Ford did with Shida tonight in her own right against Shida. What do you think about that?
Well, I don't want them to fall into the sloppy shop formula where they are now going to build a feud, and then for that feud, they're going to build up a new number one contender from scratch. So Anna Jay is now the most important contender, and then she'll lose, and then they'll give zero fucks about Anna Jay after that, and they'll start building somebody else. Don't do that. Right now, I don't see anybody else high enough to contend for that title, except maybe Nyla, the former champion, or Ford, who just had a phenomenal match with her. Other than that, it just seems like you're trying to force somebody in there, unless you get Britt Baker or maybe even Big Swole. But even then, Big Swole's had no interactions at all with Shida, and why would her and Shida go at it right now?
People in the chat are saying Abaddon. Abaddon versus Shida is what the chat is asking for.
Those people must not have seen that woman wrestle, man.
I've only seen her wrestle once, man, and once is enough for me, I tell you that.
Oh, my God. Look, man, I get it. The gimmick is different. It's interesting, maybe, but at the end of the day, the bell is going to ring, all right? And when it did last time, it was not a good thing, all right? It's all gimmick. She has no promo ability from what I can tell. Her ring work is terrible, and the gimmick, as much as it's different, I don't get it.
Me neither.
All right? I don't get it, man. I don't get it.
I don't get the gimmick. I don't get why people are attracted to the gimmick or like the gimmick. I don't know. It's just way out there as far as a wrestling gimmick for me.
Yeah, no. I mean, I don't want people don't think just, oh, if it's weird and different, it's over. No, it has to make some kind of goddamn sense, dude.
Yeah.
No.
Moving on from the ladies, after the ladies had a great championship match, we go on to the TNT Championship match between Cody Rhodes and Jake Hager. I got some news on Cody. I actually got 2 news articles before we get into the breakdown of this championship match with Hager tonight. First of all, I did some flipping back and forth between AEW and NXT. I did not watch anything that happened on the show.
Wait, this doesn't work. Hold on.
What are you doing? What are you doing? You muting me?
I'm trying to fucking mute you. I don't want to hear
I'm
anything.
not going to say anything that happened on the show. I'm merely going to talk about the set design.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. The set design, they set up Full Sail University in a very 4th of July festive way. They had some beautiful muscle cars down the aisle at Full Sail University, and then they had the Great American Bash colors on the big screen and on the ring apron. So they really made it feel like it was not a regular NXT production. That's all I will say, because I didn't watch it yet either. I'm going to go back and watch it, as is Jesse. So there's no spoilers here, okay? But what I'm trying to get at is Cody Rhodes sees that WWE is using the Great American Bash name for NXT to compete against AEW and Fyter Fest with a 1-week build. Cody Rhodes was actually on Busted Open Radio this week to hype up Fyter Fest, and he discussed WWE using the Great American Bash name. His father's legacy is obviously still tied up in a lot of those names that WWE is still using, and they're using it to kind of combat everything that Cody's doing with AEW. He says this: you know, people, I think, sometimes mistakenly think that Dusty just named Starrcade and the Great American Bash, and it's well beyond naming them. It's a matter of booking them, of marketing them, of the creation. My dad always told me that Starrcade was for my sister and that the Great American Bash was for me. Obviously, at the time that he came up with those events, I'm not sure if that was actually the case, but that's what he told me, and that's why it's very special. Both events, to me and my sister. I'm not going to get angry because it still brings up his name in a positive way. The marketing of the event reminds me of a lot of what Disney does and what Disney is currently doing. If you go to Disney World, they still sell Haunted Mansion shirts, and they're all done retro style. They market nostalgia. So then he goes on to say this about the Starrcade job that WWE has done every November for the last couple of years, as they put Starrcade on a glorified house show, billing. Now, Cody Rhodes just wishes that WWE will do something with the Great American Bash name and put something special behind it in the process. If you run a sizzle with Sting and Dusty Rhodes and Hulk Hogan, None of those guys are going to be there. I'm not really upset about it. I know my sister really just thought it was so strange that when it was announced just willy-nilly, last minute, in the strangest ways, I would hope that they do something special with it, he said. I think our show is better. I think it will be better in execution. I hope that they do something special with it because I hated what Michael Hayes did with Starrcade. He took a creation of my dad's and he made it a live event because they weren't selling any tickets in North Carolina and he wanted to save his job. That was disappointing to me. In terms of that was premier event of World Championship Wrestling and the NWA, and you did what you did with it. At the same time, I hope is not what happens with the Great American Bash. I'm not upset at anything that brings my dad's name in a positive light. Is it a weird feeling? For sure. But I've also been in a tag team match with my brother competing ratings-wise against the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. One guy who I never mind competing with is my own dad. I'll never mind that. And the Great American Bash, it is what it is. And I would hope that they do something positive with it. That's really the only outlook I have on it, unless I had like 3 or 4 bourbons, and then I would have an absolutely different outlook on it. But I like that they bring up his name in a charming and loving way. I just hope it's not another Starrcade situation. Now, I don't think Cody, Jesse, has anything to worry about with what he's trying to kind of relay to everybody. I don't think Triple H or NXT, for that matter, would do anything Dusty Rhodes related bad, and they would obviously put a special meaning behind it. They just did it with the In Your House situation. In Your House, everybody thought they were bringing it back for nostalgia purposes. That might be the case, but it is something that fits in with the times because of what's going on with the coronavirus, and everybody's at home. In Your House, everybody's at home anyway. It just kind of worked very well with the situation that we're in right now in the world climate. But with NXT, I don't think Triple H or Shawn Michaels, for that matter, or anybody involved with NXT would do Dusty bad because that entire roster still to this day, whether they're promoted to the main roster right now or still in NXT competing, everybody always cites Dusty Rhodes for the reason why they are there and the reason why NXT is where it is today. So I don't think he has anything to worry about. As for the main roster, they just use it as a monetary gain and fuel for selling house shows because they don't know any better and they are fucking ridiculously uncreative on the main roster. But what do you think about Cody's feeling towards Starrcade and the Great American Bash? And do you think he has anything to worry about with NXT?
I think he does. Triple H wouldn't do anything to dishonor Dusty, or probably nobody else in WWE would. But one person would. The same person who put him out there in fucking yellow polka dots and tried to rib him and make him look bad. I mean, is that his goal? I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to say, yeah, they're just trying to ruin the Great American Bash because of Dust. I don't know. I didn't really think about it. But to answer the question, would someone ever? I think one person would, and it's the only one that matters over there. I mean, clearly he's concerned about what AEW is doing. I mean, he changes his programming around it. He scheduled a made-for-TV pay-per-view the same 2 weeks as AEW did. He even had the nerve to name this pay-per-view.
Well, we know why they did it. I don't. I think the meaning. I guess what I tried to say was, I don't think Triple H is going to make an embarrassment out of it. Like, we all know that they're desperate, but I don't think Triple H is going to just give this a regular house show feel. I think he's going to go out there and do what he does with NXT and usually delivers.
From the moment I saw Robert Stone puking in the ring, this is no longer Triple H's show.
I understand that. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear this in the chat about at WWE because it's an AEW show. But yes, Jesse's right. It doesn't feel like NXT anymore.
So that being said, if Triple H had full control over his show, we wouldn't be seeing Robert Stone puking in the ring. That being said, the second that Vince decides he wants to do something to crap on AEW or crap on Dusty, he could wake up tomorrow morning and decide to do it. Would he? Yeah, I think it's within him to do it if he's that bitter at the time. Yeah, sure. Triple H? No. Fuck not. But Vince? Yeah.
Well, that was Cody's take on what WWE is doing with the Great American Bash and obviously competing with Fyter Fest. Yes, it was last minute. Yes, it was desperate. Yes, they are very bothered by what AEW is doing because if they weren't, they wouldn't be coming up with less than 1 week builds for everything that happened in this particular set of taping. which they taped both weeks tonight at the Performance Center. So, moving on from that, Cody actually mentioned, Jesse, about Sammy Guevara in the same situation here. Actually, on Twitter, he mentioned Sammy. He didn't mention Sammy on the Busted Open interview where he mentioned this Great American Bash situation, but Cody said on Twitter that Sammy will return a better professional wrestler and a better man. Now, AEW released the statement last week that he was suspended and that he would be attending sensitivity training. And during his suspension, his salary will also be donated to the Women's Center of Jacksonville. That's per Tony Khan. Now, with the future of his status with the company in question, obviously, when he's reevaluated, they'll determine that at that point. But some people thought they were going to release Sammy, which I didn't think was going to be the case whatsoever. Now, that won't be the case, and that was confirmed by Cody. Sammy's not going anywhere. He confirmed this on Twitter, that Guevara will eventually make a return to All Elite Wrestling. Sammy will return, and he says he will be a better professional wrestler and a better man when he does. What do you think about what Cody said there? And do you have, again, I think we all do, because we all love an underdog, Sammy is going to come back a better professional wrestler and a better man when he does. Do you agree with that?
He will. I mean, it seems that he's matured since he made the statements that he made, and I think this show was kind of missing Sammy. I mean,
I feel that way too.
I mean, so he can't come out any worse from this. He already seemed like he'd already matured from when he made the comments. I honestly don't feel like this should even be an issue. The guy was not working for AEW at the time. I think it's something that needed to be addressed between him and Sasha and everything else, but I just don't like the fact that someone can wake up tomorrow morning and say, I think I want to dig up some stuff on somebody and get them in trouble and ruin their livelihood. You know? I mean, it's one thing if he came out and he said it and it got heard for the first time. This was said years ago. It was public then. Nobody cared then, but they care now because somebody resurfaced it. Doesn't make it okay. I don't think it was right. I think it was just as horrible as everybody says it is. But I think we give too much power to people with keyboards at times.
Yeah, I think he'll come back. Listen, I thought, again, I don't want to retread here with what we talked about last week, but I feel like 4 years ago when he said those comments, Sammy is not the Sammy that he was 4 years ago. And like I mentioned, I think one of the biggest oversights that people are kind of not really mentioning is the fact that he was on that particular podcast that I will not name here, and I feel like he wanted to fit in with what type of vibe that podcast usually gives off. And 4 years later, it kind of bit him in the ass. Him and Sasha talked. That's all that really mattered. I'm sure she accepted his apology, and everybody's going to move on. Sammy's going to be off TV for an extended period of time. He's going to come back, and everybody's going to just worry about Sammy being a better person. You're going to monitor him. AEW's going to monitor him. He's going to be fine. And he's got a very promising career. That's all I can really say about that. But moving on with Cody Rhodes and Jake Hager, Jesse, TNT Championship here. This was a very good TV championship match. I know you told me that you really weren't overly thrilled with it, but it was decent from what you saw. Cody and Hager for the TNT Championship. Cody wore his American Nightmare Cody t-shirt with a Great American Bash type font on the front. And then the announcers talked about Cody just having a birthday. He just turned 35, and he celebrates a birthday with Terry Funk, who just turned 76. So happy belated birthday to both of those guys. Justin Roberts back and forth did the formal ring introductions. The announce team discussed the win and loss record of both guys. Cody's 11-1. Jake Hager is 4-1 respectively. And the bell rang about 10 minutes to the top of the second hour. So they started off very slowly. They did some mat wrestling, traded some ankle lock counters. Cody did a springboard dive to the floor, which always looks impressive for a guy like that because you don't think of that type of style coming out of Cody Rhodes, but he always nails it perfectly. Cody did a springboard dive to the floor. Things started to pick up a little bit. Hager came back with some overhead throws. The match spilled outside. Hager went after Arn and shoved him against the barricade. I laughed. I just found this to be funny. I don't know why. Cody went after Hager, but ended up taking a suplex on the floor right before commercial break. Really stiff suplex there on the outside by Hager to Cody. Catalina walked on Cody's back during the break. I don't know if anybody caught that. I found that to be hilarious as well. I like Catalina out there with Jake Hager, Jesse. What'd you think about her presence at ringside today? You think I think she may be the superstar of the duo, if you ask me. But what do you think about her adding a nice little presence to his overall presentation?
I'm kind of confused by it because I mean I'll explain. I was more intrigued by the big, strong, silent Hager next to Jericho.
Yeah.
So now we're gonna drift away from that and have him as the big, muscle-bound oof with his hot wife. You know what I'm saying? I like the first dynamic better. I mean,
yeah.
simply adding his wife and separating him from the inner circle just a little bit changes his entire gimmick altogether. And I'm not sure if I'm a fan of it.
Yeah, I honestly think when he suffered that first loss, it kind of facilitated the change in his gimmick. Because he was that big hurt type character, And I feel like when he lost, it kind of took away from that almost. And with her being out there, I don't know with what we've seen at the end of this match, if that has anything to do with it. Is he going to still be with the inner circle? Is he going away? Is this maybe a tease to where his character is going? I don't really know, but we'll get there. Another thing about Hager is he needs new trunks or new wrestling gear. That blue looks so generic. It looked like it reminded me of a creative character in WWE 2K19. Seriously, it looked awful. But Catalina was out there. What was that?
If their plan is to break him away from Inner Circle and have him go down a different path, doing it with his wife is, I mean, that's fine. I mean, I don't not like it, but I just think he had a better gimmick as the strong silent muscle in Inner Circle. When they had the big muscle guys come in, when they had the Wardlows and they had the Brian Cages and everybody else and Hager in there too, I no longer put Hager in that group with the big muscle bound guys because he's kind of drifted off with his wife a little bit. The other guys are still killers.
I'm sorry in the chat. Apparently I have the cursor over Jesse's...
Yes, would you please quit doing that? What the fuck? Jeez.
Hey, listen, as long as it's not a sound issue, holy shit, you guys are worried about a fucking mouse cursor.
Quit
my goodness.
I'm on fucking hashtag you molesting me with the fucking cursor, man. What the fuck?
Oh, man, that's great.
Did you see the EC3 news?
What happened? We got more breaking news this week. What happened?
Yeah, he put out a promo, and at the
Please don't tell me showing up with Impact.
No, it's AEW.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's at the end of his promo. He's put up a big AEW banner, man. That's where he's headed.
Oh, good. There you go, folks. Breaking news here. EC3 headed to AEW. Maybe he will actually get TV time. I know he will get TV time.
He can't get less.
He'll have one match on AEW Dynamite, have more TV time in all fucking 2 years he's been on the main roster. Great. We got that to look forward to.
Yeah.
Moving on here, guys. Catalina was out there. She was kind of embarrassing Cody, walking on his back because Hager was in control. Arn got in the way. Cody used a distraction to post Hager after the break. Back inside the ring, Hager had a sleeper. Cody walked the buckle to try and break the hold, but got a 2 count, but Hager kept the hold. Cody finally broke the hold and hit a springboard cutter off the top, which looked very impressive. Hager went for a Vader bomb, nailed it. He went for a second Vader bomb. Cody blocked it, hit an inverted DDT for a 2 count. Hager up top. He hit an overhead suplex. Hager used an ankle lock, but Cody forced a rope break. Hager then was clearly frustrated at this point. Hager took the referee, and this allowed his wife, Catalina, on the outside to slap Cody. He was leaning on the bottom rope after the breaking of the hold. She went over and slapped him. Hager went back to the ankle lock. Arn got in the ring and took the referee this time to distract him. Dustin Rhodes ran down and punched Hager. Cody went for crossroads. Hager blocked it. Hager hit a Uranagi and floated over into an arm triangle. Cody postured up and pinned Hager in the submission hold. 1, 2, 3, and that was it. Cody retains the TNT Championship. I actually thought, Jesse, this match was going to go a time limit. I didn't think they were going to beat Jake Hager here tonight on Dynamite, but I was wrong. And we got, at the end of the match, we had Jake Hager pretty much frustrated. Referee was in his face. For some reason, Hager thought he won the match, even when Cody's music was blaring over the PA system. So when things kind of died down, Hager was like, what the fuck? You know, I thought I won the match. He was arguing with the referee. He ended up punching the referee. We had all these other referees and officials come back into the ring and just kind of separate Hager from doing any more damage to the original referee. I don't know what they did here. You said to me via text that this looked to be them writing Jake Hager off of television. Do you honestly think that is the case? And honestly, with Sammy being out, you know, Jericho was still playing up the inner circle, but they didn't really have a good night tonight. So could this be the end of Hager, and is he going to possibly do something in the MMA?
It could be. It looks like that's what they were trying to get across. I mean, because you don't see that. You don't see the talent intentionally bumping a ref. You know, when that happens, usually that means suspension and you go away. And we know he did pretty well over there in Bellator, and it could be that. Maybe he wants to go back too for a little bit. Maybe he has something else going on. Who knows? It could be a plenty of things, but it looks like they found a good way to write him off TV for a little bit.
Yeah, I thought this was a very good TV match. I've always been impressed by Cody and the level of storytelling that he puts into literally everything that he does. I was never a big Jake Hager guy. I love the fact that Jim Ross was telling Chris Jericho on commentary that, he originally scouted Jake Hager, brought Jake Hager to, he didn't mention WWE, but we all knew that Jim Ross scouted Jake Hager and brought him on in, and that was part of when Jim Ross was with Talent Relations in WWE. But I was never a big Jake Hager guy. I loved Jake Hager when he was with Cesaro, and then WWE killed that because they got over on their own, and you know how that's sin number one over in that fucking company. Then he went nowhere. Cesaro still went nowhere. You know, that was probably his meal ticket to just being great. I love that tag team with Zeb Coulter. But again, I was never a big Jake Hager guy. But I think even though everybody appreciates Cody and what he does, I think tonight, you know, we've seen a little bit more of Jake Hager than we usually see. And it's tough not to appreciate how good he is. He really is good, but it's just the fucking character just brings it down. He's like, who is he? He's MMA. He's a tough guy. Great. But other than that, I mean, there's not really nothing there to make it jump off the page when looking at Jake Hager. You know?
No, it's not. And I think that's why they had him booked the right way when he first started in the inner circle. I remember when he first started, when he did promos, he wouldn't even say anything. And I remember when they put a mic in front of him, I was sitting there saying, I hope he doesn't say shit. I hope he doesn't say shit. And then he started talking, and I'm like, why is he talking? Stop. But he's still fine. I mean, the gimmick is fine. The character is fine. I didn't like what they were doing with those Brady Bunch type segments, though. I didn't like him talking in those.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't for him. You know, it just didn't seem right. Everybody else cracking the jokes and everything else. His jokes would have been well better served by him just staring at a camera and saying nothing. I mean, it's simpler is better in some cases, and that would have been the case.
Yeah, and you said the same thing about Darby Allin, who we've been seeing, you know, a lot more of in the style in which we want to see a lot more of in Darby Allin. So he had another vignette tonight when he was actually trying to be interviewed by Taz before all this situation happened with Taz and Brian Cage. He tried to get a promo out of Darby Allin, and we said, no. Go back to Darby Allin filming in the black and white and just have him be Darby. We don't need to have him say anything. Vignette aired with Darby Allin. He was doing his skateboarding spiel, and he said, what do you mean I'm not medically cleared? He did a bunch of skateboard stunts. He did a backflip onto a ramp, onto a skateboard, and then ramped himself down. I think he did a big shot over a fucking pool filled with cereal, it looked like. Listen, they're bringing him back. He's cleared. This is just to kind of bide the time before we get into the situation that I think they're throwing him into. And with Jon Moxley and Brian Cage not happening next week on night 2 of Fyter Fest, that is postponed because of COVID. Renee Young, who is much better now, she's on her way to recovering. She tested positive. Moxley was in the same household. He tested negative. He got tested several times negative, but Tony Khan is doing the right thing and keeping him away from everybody else as a precautionary measure. So the match now is taking place in 2 weeks at what AEW is billing Fight for the Fallen. that's going to be Brian Cage and Jon Moxley for the AEW Championship. Jesse, I do think Darby is cleared. I think all of this is just to keep Darby in the mindset of everybody else, and I do think that Darby is going to have a factor in that match with Brian Cage losing to Jon Moxley. What'd you think about the vignette, and do you think now, after a couple of weeks of talking about it back and forth here on the show, do you think that's more likely going to happen now in 2 weeks for the AEW Championship?
Yeah, more than likely, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if it's some kind of maybe cinematic or maybe pre-recorded match as well too, just to make sure there's nobody else at risk. I mean, just put these two together, film it, put it in the can, air it. But who knows? Who knows though? But
well, either way, I'm excited. Like, you know, everybody talks so high about Darby Allin. I'm excited to see him get back into the thick of things. And I mean, with all this new talent coming into AEW, you know, the field is going to be kind of ripe for him to kind of get out there. I could see matches with him and EC3. I could see matches with him and Ricky Starks. So, you know, when he comes back, he's going to have a couple more names to possibly be in the ring with.
I could see Darby being the one in a babyface versus babyface match, be the one to take down Cody for that title.
So could I.
I could see that.
Either way, Darby's coming back. I think he's going to have a big factor in that World Championship match with Moxley and Brian Cage in 2 weeks. We'll see what happens. Next week, I'm very much looking forward to Orange Cassidy walking out to the stage he came tonight. He's going one-on-one next week with Chris Jericho. Cassidy brought a chair with him to the announce desk, and Jericho was on commentary. They were good for a little bit. But Jericho says he's got a match next week, so he's not worried about dipshit Cassidy sitting out there at the commentary desk. Cassidy pulled up a chair and kicked up his shoes and was just chilling during the next match, which was Santana and Ortiz versus Private Party, Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn coming out to the ring with Matt Hardy. Jesse, before we get into this, what do you think about the pairing of Matt Hardy with Mark Quinn and Isaiah Cassidy? Do you like the pairing? Do you like that they've kind of deviated away from the broken gimmick and they're kind of, I guess, giving it to you in doses instead of just giving you broken Matt all the time? What do you think about this pairing, and do you see Matt having a big influence on bringing Private Party to that next level?
No, I don't get it. Look, I like Private Party. I like Matt, obviously. I mean, but that doesn't mean that, you know, I like pizza and ice cream. I don't want them on top of each other. It doesn't make any sense right now. Maybe they're going somewhere with it. I mean, but I mean, for what the gimmick was, for what the gimmick we thought the gimmick was from Matt and what Private Party does, I don't see the symmetry unless they're keeping them together for a different reason. Like the trios titles that we were rumored to be thinking about getting down the road.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that being a thing, but I think AEW is trying to kind of mold Private Party into being the next Hardy Boys, with Matt Hardy being out there without actually blatantly saying that's what they're doing. They're trying to maybe just kind of play coy with it and have people figure it out on their own and kind of make that, I guess, that tie-in on their own. I see it, because we watch the product every single week and we're kind of backlogged on many, many years of WWE programming. But does the casual viewer of the product see this? Is that why you say you don't like it? What is the reason why you don't like it?
Okay, so if I'm watching the show and I got Hardy out there with this eccentric gimmick and all these weird mannerisms and these different gimmicks and everything else, okay, cool. What does that have to do with Private Party? These guys are club goers. They're just wild and they're high flying baby faces, and it kind of has nothing to do with Matt Hardy. I mean, it literally has nothing to do with him at all. They got no history together. They just say, okay, go out there with Private Party and make it happen. Now, that's what Matt can do. He can go out there and make it happen. But me, I'm sitting there like, why is this happening? How are these guys together? It makes zero sense. It would make sense to put Hardy with the Bucks. They've had history at least. It almost feels like they don't know where to put Matt Hardy right now. You know?
Yeah. You know, I don't want to jump too far into the future, because who the fuck knows if this is going to be a thing 6 or 7 months from now. But maybe Tony Khan is thinking, well, all right, Jeff has how many months left? 8 or 9 months left on his WWE deal. He'll be here next year. Maybe they're setting up for an early kind of tease between Matt Hardy and Jeff, the Hardy Boys, versus a lot of what people are saying are the next version of the Hardy Boys in Private Party. Could that be something that they may be thinking about in the very infantile stages here of AEW? I'm trying to make the best of this situation, but just like you, I see where you're coming from. I don't get it, but that doesn't necessarily mean I don't like it.
Yeah,
because they could be influenced by the Hardy Boys, and they just may be waiting for Jeff to come on in, so they kind of take it to the next level. I don't know.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say the same thing. I mean, I don't dislike it. I don't hate it. I just don't get it. So I'm just waiting for them to make sense of it, I guess, if that makes any sense. I'm like, okay, let's see where this is going, because of right now, it just looks like they just threw them together because they don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
And I'm watching BTE every week, and they got Hardy doing different things. I mean, it's kind of bleeding together, and it looks like a little bit of a sense of lostness there. I mean, I don't know what's going on with Matt. I'm sure they'll straighten it out and figure it out, but for right now, he just kind of just go do you. Just go be. And that's what he's doing.
I honestly think with some people in the chat, I see, Matt was set to feud with Sammy, so they had to kind of backtrack and maybe start over a little bit because they had that thing going on. We had Damascus versus Sammy.
That's right. He was in a feud with Sammy. That's right. So it does kind of make sense. They just kind of got him. Okay. It kind of makes a little bit more sense. Man, I don't know about a lot more sense, but it makes it does, because they're feuding with LAX, or the former LAX, who's Inner Circle, and Matt. Okay, I mean that kind of I get it. I guess it did, but it does seem like they're kind of combining two feuds.
Yeah.
For no reason, but whatever, I can deal with that. But it's at the same time he's still kind of wandering aimlessly with all 19 of his gimmicks right now. Let's just find out where he's going.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. I mean, I'm into it. Anything Matt Hardy does, I'm invested, and I trust where he wants to go as far as creative goes. So if he's taking a liking to both Mark Quinn and Isaiah Cassidy, there's got to be a reason for it, and I'm sure it's a damn good reason. But I loved what these four did tonight. Not overly, get off my couch and just like, oh my God, this was a great tag team match. I love what both of these teams do because I've called so many of their matches, so I know what's coming, when it's coming. I know how great Santana and Ortiz are. They're fucking phenomenal. I seen a glimpse tonight of the old LAX tonight against Private Party. And I don't know if that had to do with anything in particular, if it had to do with their old House of Glory days because they all trained out of the same school, or if it was an easy night on the Inner Circle, and the Inner Circle wasn't really a focus on the overall evening. There was less funny business from Ortiz, more seriousness from both Ortiz and Santana. They looked like their old Impact days tonight. So I really appreciated that. Private Party, still so young. It irks the shit out of me when I see people on social media saying Private Party sucks. Private Party doesn't get it. They don't do this. They don't do that. You got to take into consideration that they're barely in their 20s. So they're just getting their feet wet. Yeah, I'm sure you said the same thing about the fucking Hardy Boys when you seen Jeff and Matt for the first time, too. Daredevil's doing this and that. There's no continuity. There's no fucking storytelling there. Let these guys grow before you fucking blast them on social media.
No, don't. I mean, anybody who said that has not watched enough of them, or they're just an idiot. I remember my first time seeing them. But I remember my first thing I said to you was, they're fine in the ring, they're cool, but I just don't get it, I think that was my initial reaction was like, I don't get them, like, what is it? And then I watched them a little bit more, and their charisma kind of came through, and their ring work is always great, and I'm on board. I like everything they do right now. They got so much potential for growth. It's not even funny, and the fact that. I believe the commentary team tonight, Jesse, said that Santana and Ortiz weren't even in the top 5 for the rankings of the AEW Tag Team division. Look at how stacked that division is. The fact that Santana and Ortiz are not even in the top 5 yet. That is awesome.
That's crazy. That statistic alone made you like, holy shit, really? Who the fuck is above them?
That's probably why Gallows and Anderson didn't come.
Well, they signed with Impact, apparently.
Yeah, but what would they do over here?
They won't do anything over. They get lost in the shuffle. There's so many fucking teams. So they signed with Impact. I believe Aces and Eights is getting back together. And we got them possibly splitting time between Impact and New Japan.
It's a good move.
Yeah. But like I said, I mean, I was never a big Gallows and Anderson fan. I mean, Anderson is great. Gallows is very good at what he does as well. But the fact of the matter is, when they go to Impact, I just feel like they went there, they took a lucrative deal. They'll show up at Slammiversary. They'll do what they got to do. They'll create some buzz for about a week or two, and then they'll fall right back to being nothing. You know, they'll be irrelevant again.
Well, I mean, this is the chance that they have. They'll show up at Slammiversary. They'll make their mark. They'll fall into mediocrity, but they'll have a chance to make themselves stars because they'll be on TV every week.
Yeah.
So if they go nowhere, maybe they can look at themselves. But if they make it anywhere, they can say we got ourselves over. So I mean, you can't get over sitting in catering.
Someone in the chat said Private Party is a Smoky Mountain tag team. They were trained by the Amazing Red in Queens out of House of Glory. What the fuck are you talking about?
Smoky Mountain is still here?
Clearly there's a troll in the chat. So, yeah, I mean, I get it. I'm thinking maybe Gallows and Anderson go over to New Japan. Maybe they win the tag team titles over there, bring those titles over to Impact Wrestling. Maybe there's a possible New Japan. Actually, no, that can't be.
No.
Because they're on Access TV, and Access got rid of New Japan. Yeah, fuck that. I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry.
What is
Still, I think that 2 weeks they'll be right back into irrelevancy.
They probably will, but at least they have a chance to do what they want to do. They'll have the chance to do what everybody that we used to say all the time. Like, what would you rather do? Go somewhere and showcase yourself or sit in catering? They'll get to go somewhere and showcase themselves now.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they're doing their thing. You know, Impact, I'm sure will treat them right, and they got some good tag team matches over there waiting for them, I'm sure. And they got their podcast. They got their Talking Shop podcast, which is in the top 5 of iTunes every single week. So they're doing their thing. So good for them.
So does Alexa Bliss.
Who?
Her new podcast.
It's in the top 5 already?
Fuck you, troll me with Britt Baker. Let's talk about Alexa Bliss's new podcast.
Whoa. Listen. If you're on iTunes, I gotta tell you this right now. If you're on iTunes, all you gotta do is listen to Off the Script. Leave me a 5-star rating, guys. Everybody here, brought Off the Script up into the top 20 on iTunes. As of today, we're a top 20 podcast in pro wrestling. We're above some legends right now. So keep doing your thing. Thank you guys so very much. Anyway, Jesse, Santana Ortiz, Private Party. This one went about 13, 14 minutes. Ortiz was the only guy that I seen tonight, unless I missed something, that came out with a face mask on. Jericho accused Cassidy, who was sitting there, he accused Cassidy of trying to throw him off his game. Excalibur says he wasn't doing anything. He's just sitting there. Jericho yelled, "But he's sitting right there!" So just him sitting there annoyed Jericho. Santana and Cassidy opened up the match. Cassidy landed a running, leaping dive onto Santana and Ortiz on the floor less than a minute in. Mark Quinn tagged in next, scored a 1 count after a standing moonsault, which looked great. Nobody could fly like Mark Quinn. He's awesome at what he does. Cassidy eventually landed a twisting dive onto Santana and Ortiz at ringside. He landed a top rope senton onto Ortiz for a 2 count. Quinn tagged in, but Ortiz knocked him off balance. Ortiz then gave Quinn a top rope sit-out powerbomb, which looked nasty. Santana then landed a corner cannonball off of Ortiz's back, very Hardy-esque. Ortiz made the cover, but Cassidy broke it up. Santana whipped Cassidy into the ringside barricade. Hardy took a loaded sock away from Ortiz. So Ortiz wanted to do some nefarious actions here with the loaded sock. Hardy seen it, took the sock away. Quinn rolled up Santana for a near fall. Santana came back with a kick to the chin. Never trust a man in tails, is what Jericho said. I've been saying that for years. Speaking of Mark Quinn, by the way, 4-way broke out towards the end of this thing. Quinn launched Santana with a head scissors into Cassidy. Gin and juice for the surprise victory, and Private Party get the victory over Santana and Ortiz. And at the end of this thing, Jesse, they cut to the announce desk. Cassidy was dancing right in front of the commentary table. Jericho stood up and said, "Get the fuck out of here." He started yelling at Cassidy, and he threw water on Orange Cassidy. Too many Cassidys here. Threw water on Orange Cassidy because he was frustrated. and they had a big pull-apart separation right before their match here. What are you thinking about Jericho and Orange Cassidy next week? Is it going to be the match to watch for night 2, being that Moxley and Brian Cage was postponed? The match to look out for next week on Fyter Fest for night 2.
I'm watching the fucking Lexi podcast, bro. This match was awesome, man. I fucking loved it. I mean, Private Party, man. I was kind of wondering and kind of worried that they were falling into the Jurassic Express like valley where they just kind of like fell off, because you see them on BTE highlighted every week, but then on TV it's just kind of going nowhere. I think they're kind of coming back up now. I think they're coming back up, and maybe they're coming back up because those tag titles are getting ready to go to a real tag team soon. So I don't know.
Yeah,
But
possibly. I'm not sure Private Party is that tag team. I'm not sure if Santana or Ortiz are that tag team yet. Eventually they will be. But I could definitely see those titles coming off both Page and Omega very, very soon.
Yeah, I think the tag division, as good as it is in AEW, I think it's getting ready to fucking blow up, man. Because I think as they get all these tag teams get in the position that they want them in, I think they're just waiting for all the restrictions to lift to get everybody back on camera where they want them. Get those titles on a tag team, and you can kind of unleash them at this point, because now that they'll be on legitimate tag teams competing every week for those damn titles, and there's so many teams. I mean, it's gonna be awesome. I can't wait. But yeah, I'll be happy when those titles come off of those two. I think they did what they needed to do with them. Now I think they can go on and do their own separate programs and release those tag titles into the wild where they belong.
Yeah, it's going to be very good. Especially with Omega and Page. They've been so great, and they've built up those titles so well. We actually move on from the Private Party, Jericho, and Orange Cassidy situation to an interview with Dasha and Omega and Page. Page did not have any alcohol in his hand, surprisingly. This was the first time in many, many months that he was seen without an alcoholic beverage. He just also reinstated his Twitter account, and a lot of people were wondering why. And he simply said upon return today in his first tweet, "Fuck, I forgot my password." That's pretty much all he said. So, nice playing coy there with Mr. Adam Hangman Page. That's why we all love him. But he said, I think Kenny mentioned something about after it's over, they'll be celebrating. And, Hangman obviously was very confident about him and Kenny retaining the tag team championships against the Best Friends. Page was mentioning something about him respecting the Best Friends. I'm like, whoa, who's this guy? This is not the Page we've seen in the past couple of months. Him respecting the Best Friends. So I was very thrown off by that. It was a little bizarre, but Page, he had an alcoholic beverage in his hand at the end of the evening, so not much changed. So we move on from that, and we go to Taz and Brian Cage. Now, we all talked about Moxley and Cage being moved until July 15th at Fight for the Fallen. Taz came out to the ring to talk specifically about this situation. This was probably the best thing on the entire show to me. Taz stood in the ring and said that they are all good with the couple of weeks delay here. He said he talked with Tony Khan. He said Moxley was concerned for the health of all the other athletes in AEW. Taz says he's been tested twice at home, and both of his tests, Moxley's tests, have been negative. He said he could get his ass to AEW next week and get tested again. He's like, as you know, we don't run a sloppy shop. Obviously throwing a huge blow to WWE's coronavirus protocol and how they've handled everything. With news today that I found out, Jesse, that a lot of people are still upset about them filming. And I read a report today from Sportskeeda that a lot of people in the locker room want Seth Rollins to lead a locker room-wide walkout in protest of the coronavirus and the fact that WWE has done such a shitty job at handling this entire situation and blatantly putting everybody at risk over there. But he said, we don't run a sloppy shop. He said, Moxley has a case of one thing, the chicken shits. He said he's afraid of the chicken shits and will beat his brain in and take the title from him Ross then said Moxley can't train right now, so he will be 100% in 2 weeks. Now, I love the sloppy shop. I think we all did. I don't get why Moxley can't train if he tested negative twice. Is there something else going on with Jon Moxley, or is that just Taz just kind of poking fun at Moxley being a coward, him being negative and still not showing up? But I guess we could kind of look at it in a way where Brian Cage kind of tossed him on the, back window of a fucking vehicle a couple of weeks ago. Maybe that's the reason why he can't show up and train. But this is great. Taz has been absolutely one of the best things about Dynamite. And I ask you, Jesse, do you think that with the postponement of this match, is WWE setting themselves up for a win next week in the ratings? Or does this not make much of a difference as far as AEW is concerned?
I don't think this particular move is going to make much of a difference. It does show the level of concern that Tony and Moxley and everybody else has when it comes to this situation that we're going through, as opposed to just pretending it's not happening at all. They're taking precautions. They're addressing it. And I'm like you, man. Let me tell you something. Taz is money right now. Fucking money. And this whole let's try to recreate Heyman and Brock thing has taken on a life of its own, because yeah, he's shooting from the hip. He's sounding legit. He's sounding like a fucking tough guy, and Cage is able to back it all up. They got a winning duo right here, man. These guys are going straight to the top.
Yeah, this was so awesome. And the one thing that I love about AEW is the fact that they're real. You know, I'm not being an AEW mark or a shill when I say things like that. It's just the reality of the situation. You would never hear any of the verbiage that Taz used tonight on a WWE program. You would not hear testing positive. You would not hear the word virus. You would not hear COVID. You would not be hearing people, wearing masks. That would not be a thing in the commentary or a thing in a promo here by Taz. They bring the reality of the situation that we are all currently living in right now, and they are facing a little adversity now because of Moxley's situation with his wife. Tony Khan is doing an unbelievable job at managing the safety of his roster and also producing a television program for 2 hours every Wednesday. He knows that the health and the well-being of the roster is the top priority right now. He knows Moxley's wife tested positive for COVID. Now, we all know that Moxley tested negative, but he was in the same household. Tony Khan is taking it upon himself to say, you know what, you're our champion, and we have a scheduled match for you, which is being taped tomorrow, but you're staying home for 2 weeks, and we'll come up with a situation. Tony Khan had to think on his feet, and the beautiful thing about it is he used this entire situation for a fucking storyline. Yep. He didn't bend over backwards to come up with some bullshit fucking injury like WWE would do. He didn't bend over backwards to fucking hide the fact that we're all going through a fucking pandemic right now. Tony Khan sat there and said, you know what? Okay, your wife is getting better. You're negative. We're going to use it as a storyline, and we're going to build this over the next 2 weeks so that we get the match that was supposed to be advertised tonight at Fight for the Fallen on July 15th. Simple. They did not do anything that would give you a fucking migraine. Play off real life. There you go. No questions asked. How great is that?
Yeah, I think you kind of learn to appreciate the little things like this when you deal with such weird fucking booking gymnastics over there at the sloppy shop. So this was simple, effective, awesome.
Moving on from that, we got Adam Hangman Page, Kenny Omega, best friends Trent and Chuck Taylor for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. I think the best thing about this match, Jesse, was the fact that the best friends were driven into Daly's place by Trent's mother. And he got a good luck kiss on the cheek from good old Mama Beretta.
The AEW women's division just took off. Trent's mom is more over than any woman on the WWE roster. Not named Sasha and Bayley.
That was a little bizarre, but just so genuine, and I loved it. Now, obviously, a lot of people might not think much of that, but it just plays into the overall best friends character. It's just something that just comes off as bizarre to some people, but I thought it was just great. I really did.
So good.
The tag team championship match started off with Omega and Taylor. Very basic. Back and forth here before tagging out. Trent and Omega had a back and forth, which I was very intrigued by because I loved their one-on-one match a couple of months back. Taylor and Trent double-teamed on Paige, got the first real advantage of the match. Paige made a comeback. Paige and Omega then went on a 2-on-1 against Trent. Omega hit a Kotaro Crusher. Paige hit a standing shooting star press for a near fall. Omega and Paige were in control through the first commercial break, which I tweeted out the hashtag of the final picture-in-picture, which was AEW Last Call. I already had my tweet ready to go. Wow. FTR came out to the stage to sit by the commentary team, minus Jericho wasn't there anymore due to the back and forth with Orange Cassidy. They came out with beers, so they had the right idea here. Taylor made a comeback, got the hot tag, suplexed Omega into Paige on the floor against the barricade. Omega looked like he hit his head on the concrete, which looked nasty. Paige and Trent got tags. Back and forth of this match continued. Paige hit some lariats. Omega tagged in, hit a missile dropkick, so I'm glad that the spot outside really didn't do much. He didn't get hurt at all on that spot on the outside. Missile dropkick and a fisherman buster on Trent. Omega went for the you can't escape, but Trent got the knees up and blocked it. Taylor tagged in, hit a spike pile driver on Omega, which looked nasty. Paige broke that up, but barely. Omega hit a Snapdragon suplex on both Taylor and Trent. Paige hit a rolling elbow on Taylor and a powerbomb on Trent. Omega hit Trent with a V-trigger. Paige went for a cover, only got a 2 count. Paige and Omega went for the last call. Trent dodged it. Trent and Taylor hit their strong 0 on Paige. Omega broke that up. So some really nice near falls at the end of this thing. Omega tried for the one-winged angel. I loved the escape here by Chuck Taylor. Trent Taylor. Now I got a third member of Best Friends. Chuckie T escaped the one-winged angel. Really looked good there. Taylor blocked it and hit a Michinoku driver. Best Friends did their hug spot, but the cameraman was late on it. So that was that. Paige hit a pump kick and knocked Taylor out of the ring. Trent and Paige traded some strikes. Trent blocked a sunset flip. Sat down into a cradle for a 2 count. Very close near fall there. Paige hit Deadeye on Trent for a near fall, and then he eventually hit the buckshot lariat on Trent for the win. And Paige and Omega retain the tag team championships. After the match, Jesse FTR came to the ring with the beers, and they offered the beers to both Paige and Omega. Now, Paige and Omega both accepted the beers. Paige drank his, but Omega looked like he was some chick who doesn't drink that you're out on a date with, and she's pretending she likes beer. So that's what Omega did here. He ended up dumping the beer over the ring to the
turn
outside.
heel.
What's that?
Heel turn, right?
Of course, you don't waste fucking beer.
That's a fucking heel turn.
That's as bad as you leaving a fourth of a beer at the bottom of the fucking glass and you going up to the bar and ordering another one because it's too warm. Come on, bro. You don't waste fucking liquid gold like that.
Hey, man. I know.
Now, listen. Now, if there's anybody on this roster that knows Omega doesn't drink, it's got to be these two guys here. Was this a kind of, we got our eye on you moment? Or is this them being, you know what, we come in peace?
I don't know, but they as they should have, they took great offense to Kenny pouring that goddamn beer out.
Of course they did.
I mean, they should have. So, I don't know. That seems like a heel turn to me. So, you better watch Kenny, man.
I don't know. We'll keep an eye on that. But Kenny smelled the beer, pretended to drink it. He poured it out. FTR didn't like it. The Young Bucks ran out, kept them from breaking into a fight. Ross said business is definitely picking up. They shoved each other as the show ended, with the announcers hyping the 8-man tag next week on Dynamite that I'm very much looking forward to. And that is the way the show went off the air. So that was that. The tag team division is just on fire just by who was in the ring tonight. I mean, those 4 teams, you could tell AEW's got the best tag team division on the planet right now. And I can't wait to see what FTR is going to do. I know you like the way FTR is being booked. Is that correct? Still, even now,
yeah.
About a month into their run in AEW, you still like the way they're being handled so far?
I do, because they've been here, like you said, about a month. And what have they done? Nothing.
They've done really nothing, but it's just very intriguing.
They've done nothing. We know the thing is, they're here. See, they're taking the small steps. We just wanted to see these guys here, And now they're here. Good. Now just build. All right. I don't want to see you bring them here and throw them in a title match. That's kind of dumb. I mean, we got plenty of time. We want to see where this is going. The Bucks are still coming around. The Bucks could turn heel soon. I mean, it looks like All Elite could be turning heel soon. Who knows? Kenny could be turning heel. The Bucks could be turning heel. Who knows? I mean, but I like how we've got FTR here and nobody's unhappy about what they're doing. And the thing is, they're not doing shit. They're just sitting here and, I mean, they're just being guys. They pull up in fucking lawn chairs and they sit around and watch. And they do a badass match and we don't know if they're heel or face. We're waiting for what we know we're going to get. We just don't know how we're going to get it and how it's going to be presented to us. So
yeah, it's gonna pop off when they beat the Bucks and when they win those tag team titles, which everybody expects to happen right now. Let's do it now. You know, you got to be in the moment now. No. You got to watch this kind of blossom. They're here. You all know how great they are. You all know that they could walk into any promotion and be the fucking tag team champions upon arrival. But that's not the way that they're handling them here. This is going to be a slow process. And like Jesse said, yeah, we don't know if they're babyface. We don't know if they're heel. We don't know if they come in peace. We don't know if they want to be pricks. I love it. It's great.
A lot of these people who are like, I don't want to say complaining, but a lot of people who are saying that, well, they should get them to the titles. They should be doing more. These people who are, they've all been tuned and trained into quick knee-jerk reaction booking. This might be a new term for these guys, so I'll try to explain it to you. This is called long-term booking.
Wow, what is that? What is that? I mean, I'm so conditioned on WWE, bro. I thought all of this was supposed to be wrapped up next week.
No. See, it's this weird thing that Tony.
You mean to tell me this storyline could actually go into January, February?
This could go a good half a year at least.
I can't get behind that, bro. I got to go watch Monday Night Raw on Monday and get my my daily dose of just quick and to the point.
Yeah, you start a storyline on Monday and then it's wound up and done by Friday the same week. No, we're gonna see where this is going. They could do so much, man. And the way by doing it like this, you still work on getting everyone over. FTR is still working on getting over. They're building their character. They're building the storyline. And then this gives them time to play off of us, off of our online media and social media reactions and crowd reactions when we get those back. Then they can listen to us and let us tell them if we want them as heel or face. You can just go by our reactions. I love this. This gives them so many other options. I love this.
That 8-man tag is going to be awesome next week. I can't wait for it. You got the Lucha Brothers involved with FTR in the ring, bro. Where's my Ridge? I don't got it here. Just take it. I'm good to go.
Take it all.
Take it
all. And the Puppy Battle Royal.
Good. I forgot to mention that. I don't give a fuck what's on NXT next week, bro. When that Puppy Battle Royal is on, you got my attention, man. I ain't switching the channel.
I'm bringing my 2 German Shepherds right here. We're going to sit and watch that shit, man.
Love it.
Love it. Can't wait.
All right, guys, we are nearing the end of this thing, but we got a ton of super chats to go over. And Jesse's here. He's going to be answering some of these with me. If you guys made it this far, I only see 463 likes in the chat. I know, and I'll get the analytics after I'm done here. I know we're the #1 fucking podcast in the IWC for this particular episode of Dynamite tonight. So where's the fucking likes? I just seen a -1 in likes. Someone went and disliked because I said you got to go and like it. 952 viewers right now. I need 900 likes in that like column right now. So if you guys can do that, I would really appreciate it. And thank you for sticking with us here on the podcast. Jesse, we got the first super chat from Daniel Easterday.
Let's hear it.
He doesn't necessarily say anything regarding the show tonight, but he says, JD, keep up the great work. Jesse, deep down, you know Britt Baker is the perfect role model. Glad you are on the podcast with this $5 super chat.
That's cool. What's his name again? So I can block
Daniel Easterday.
Block him for my fucking chat, man. Hold on.
All right, Daniel, thank you. And Jesse is, he's only joking, bro.
No,
Gregory Benson, 1999. He says, what's up, everybody? Really enjoyed OTS this weekend. Absolutely agree with your take on how WWE puts their political BS over human life when it comes to the CV19 anyway. JD, keep up the great work, my man. You're awesome. Gregory, thank you for the $20 super chat. He actually donated another $20 immediately following that one.
Wow.
He says, Fyter Fest was awesome tonight. I did not have to watch a single second of Monday Night Raw the other night to tell that it sucked. By the way, how are those ratings doing, Bruce? Down to a 1.7. Yeah, well, that's all a part of Bruce's strategy, his plan for Monday Night Raw. Now, Jesse, I don't know what you thought of Monday Night Raw, but more Big Show equals more ratings, I say, right?
Next super chat.
My boy, Vandelli, Stephen Vandelli with a $25 super chat. What a great first night of AEW. This is for the greatest tag team in the IWC, Jesse and JD, and he gives the metal horns. Thank you, my bro. I'll see you on the Twitch stream whenever I'm live again. Jacob Donnelly, $10 super chat. The proceeds of this super chat go to Jesse's Britt Baker t-shirt.
God damn it.
I'm telling you, folks, everybody watching, man, when we get Jesse at a convention and we're there together and we're drinking beverages and we're having a good time, I'm going to buy him a meet and greet with Britt Baker, and I'm going to film it live on YouTube for you guys.
Tell you something. Every fucking super chat that acknowledges Britt Baker to me, I'm going to go on and blast you on fucking Twitter, dude.
And I'll tell Britt that you are her biggest fan, and that the role model situation is something that you live by every single day.
Why? Why? Why do you guys hate me so damn much?
Let's move on here.
Why do you guys hate me so goddamn much?
Well, listen, would you rather me tell her that you think she's Eva Marie 2.0? I'm only trying to make you look good here, bro.
Maybe she should go to Smoky Mountain Wrestling and get in the Cornette's training fucking school, man.
Well, depends on who you listen to. Cornette says that AEW should absolutely hire Tessa Blanchard, but seeing where that's coming from, I'm not surprised. Moving on. Quintendo, $4.99. AEW Fyter Fest was beyond awesome. Now we're getting 3 pay-per-view worth shows because Fight for the Fallen is going to be fantastic. JD reviews are number 1. Thank you, Quintendo. You are a beast. Team Forward, $2 super chat. Will Cage and Taz be the next Lesnar and Heyman? Nobody will be the next Lesnar and Heyman, but Taz and Cage are creating their own brand on AEW, and Taz has been fucking phenomenal in his role, and I've been a fan of Brian Cage's for a couple of years now, and the pairing is just awesome, and I think Jesse thinks the same way, of course. What do you think, man?
Yeah, that's all. I think they struck gold. I think this pairing is doing better than they anticipated it doing, because it's gold right now.
Gregory Benson, $1.99. Hikaru Shida is my girl. I think you are in the boat of a lot of people, Mr. Benson. $1.99. Thank you so much, my friend. JP5150, $10 super chat. Is this the first live AEW review? Yes, it is. And he says, if that's the case, JD, this show was impressive as hell. Looking forward to your latest review with, what has he got here? A Day Troch Peach on hand. I'm ready. Yeah, JP, 5150, bro. You, it looks like you have the same craft beer taste that I do. So one of these conventions, you're going to have to come out and attend one of these things with us, bro. I need to taste one of these fucking beers. Every time you're in the chat, it's something new. Sounds like my kind of guy. But thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Prodigy RKO with a $20 super chat. JD, my man, split the money between you and Jesse. Question, how do you feel about AEW pushing the world title match to the 15th? We talked about that on the show tonight. Would you mind adding a brother on PS4? Loving the show. Big fan. I don't know what you play, Prodigy. Do you play Destiny? I'm on Destiny every day. Jesse was a big Destiny guy, but no longer. Got to get him back on there. Why don't you play Destiny anymore, man?
I get bored. I get tired of the grind, man. I mean, it felt like it was a revolving door and it wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that's where it is now. Don't get me wrong. I mean, look, this was like about 4 updates ago. So when I tried getting back into it after like the last update or like a few updates ago, it was just too much to get back into. They changed the mechanics, they changed the gun layouts, they changed the
everything changed, dude. Everything. You would hop back on it, bro, and it's like a fucking completely different game.
Different game, yeah.
Different
game.
Well,
I came back after the update where they just brought back LMGs, and I tried getting back into the LMGs and how they had those laid out, and it was like clunky and awkward to get back into. And I was like, okay, I'll try it again tomorrow. I never turned it back on.
Yeah, man, I think you do well on there, but it'll be a foreign language to you, so it may take a little bit of time if you want to get back on there.
Is it what's the plans for PS5 for Destiny?
There's going to be no Destiny 3, but what they're doing is they're moving all of Destiny 2 over to PS5, so it's going to be running like a PC. It's going to be running a lot smoother.
So it's the same game, just
they have a whole new expansion coming out in September, and it's they're adding planets, they're adding a whole. It's basically Destiny 3 coded in Destiny 2. That's what it pretty much is.
Yeah, why no Destiny 3? I mean, do they have a different company for it? They're still with Bungie, right?
Bungie is working solely by themselves. They left Activision.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's all Bungie.
Okay.
But yeah, now give it a shot. I mean,
I'll check it out.
Who knows? You might fall in love with it again, like I did.
I'm definitely getting the PS5 this Christmas.
Oh yeah, I think that as soon as that's on pre-order, I'm paying for it up front right away because I know it's going to be limited with the COVID situation for sure. Drew Gilmore, $20 super chat. What's up, my bro? The Nostradamus of the YWC. I think Omega should be the one to turn heel. Well, like Jesse said, we could see a heel turn after what he did tonight. The swerve could be great. Page turning is too predictable. I want the dastardly cleaner to come back. You and Jesse rock. I think that's the case, like you said, Jesse, right? I think Page is a little too predictable, and I think a heel Kenny would be actually a very good thing.
It would be. I think a heel Kenny for a good, I don't know, maybe a good year or so. Have them reverse it and come back out with the babyface Kenny that we want to see. The top that could be our top of the card babyface Kenny.
Yeah.
You know, that could be it right there. I wouldn't necessarily put him in a title picture as a heel. I think that's MJF's spot.
Yeah.
So, do a little heel run with Kenny. There's plenty for him to do in the company as a heel without interacting with MJF at the top spot. And then when they turn him heel, Kenny Omega, MJF, AEW Championship title. I will mortgage my home. Take my money, man.
I'm with you there. I'm with you right there, man. I think that would be great. Kratos, $5 super chat. This was great tonight, JD. Can you add me on PS4? I'm Kid Boo 619. It's lame, I know, but I was 15 when I made the account. You got to tell me what games you play, bro. If you play Destiny, I'll add you. I could always use some new help on Destiny. Tan May, 99 cents Australian. And he says nothing. Thank you, Tan May. Appreciate you. Earl Xman, $5. Says nothing. Thank you, Earl. Appreciate that. Well, Tan May actually had another one. He puts a goat emoji. $7.99 Australian. Thank you, Tan May, again. Earl, thank you guys for the double super chats, but you could say something if you want. But Earl gave another $10, and he says, love the work, brother. Can I get an Android impersonation? Even Jesse hates Charlotte Flair at the moment, so I think we're finally in the same boat there. Keep up the great work, says Willie Frederick, $2. Thank you, my friend. Justin Striplin, $20 super chat. I've read a lot of reports saying that WWE and their higher-ups are interested in Tessa Blanchard despite her past issues. I don't trust WWE booking Tessa since Bianca Belair and Shayna Baszler aren't even on TV. We talked about that a little bit earlier. I don't trust WWE to fucking walk my dog. But, yes, I wouldn't trust them with anything. And Tessa, if signed, would be presented as a big deal. And then in the shadow of Charlotte Flair, forget about it. She'd be fed right to the queen. And I'm sure Jesse agrees with that, right?
Yep, absolutely. Hey, did you know Salrex has your new layout coming for you with your new logo?
Oh, yeah?
Yes, sir.
I didn't know that. Maybe he texted me. Did he text me? Yes, he did. He didn't mention nothing about the layout, but I'll text him after the show's over. But, he said he was going to be working on something, but he's always working for me on something, so I appreciate him very much. Ricardo, we got $4.99. Tessa going to the WWE makes sense only if she is okay with being buried and left in catering. Agree with Jesse. I'm on delay, so this comment's late. Thank you, Ricardo. Jacob Donnelly, $5 super chat. Did you guys see EC3's newest post? There's an AEW reveal at the end. Yes, we talked about it, and I'm very happy that he's going to AEW. Your boy Chris, $9.99. What's up, JD and Jesse? Fantastic review as always. Did you see what WrestleVote said about SummerSlam? I think SummerSlam will be in the PC even when New York's curve is flattened. I doubt WWE will move. Well, they wanted fans and shows in Lakeland, Florida at the end of July. And now that WWE is in a shitstorm with COVID, I think the SummerSlam show is happening outside the Performance Center. And we talked about this on Off the Script, Jesse. Vince only wanted live shows because he wanted to be the first to have live fans in a building during the pandemic. But I don't think he realizes that AEW's kind of already beaten him there.
I'm not worried about this guy. We're all worried about getting his talent healthy. He's worried about running up.
He's not. Well, PGA's back. NASCAR's back. MLB will be back in July.
Right.
Foxy, what is he worried about?
I just watched the fucking NASCAR race. Where was he?
I don't know.
Whatever.
That's all he cares about. Fuck Vince McMahon. He's a fucking loser. We all talked a bit on the podcast, but Chris, yes, thank you so much for the $10, man. I appreciate you. Willie, Frederick, $5. Great show, he says. Kratos, $5. I'm transitioning to PS4 Destiny 2 from Xbox. I'm sorry to hear that, bro. Should be PS4 for life. Spanish God-ish, $4.99. Did you see Tommy Dreamer promo on Impact? So good. And also, did you see the EC3 promo on Twitter? He will be all elite soon. I don't watch Impact, so I'm sorry. If it was good, I'm not surprised because Tommy Dreamer is great. But I'll check that out. And finally, guys, Undisputed Era, $2. Charlotte is JD's role model and Britt Baker is Jesse's. I think that's the end of the show.
Oh, fuck.
I think that's the end of the show. And Blizza, I see your chat, bro, in your comment in the chat. Have you watched Dark yet? Fuck Dark! I don't watch Dark. That's up to Jesse.
Dark is awesome, man. I don't know what's wrong with you. You watch SmackDown and Raw, but don't want to watch Dark.
Listen, bro, I got too much wrestling. I got to watch Dark. Yes, I got to see Sunny Kiss on Dark. Yeah, let me spend my fucking Tuesday evening watching Sunny Kiss.
No, you know who's working on their in-ring work on Dark? Brandy.
Again. Who?
Is it good? No, but she is working on it.
Okay. I believe you.
I think it's gotten worse, but she is working on it.
Okay. Is it worse than Alexa?
It might be, man. It's pretty bad.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
And we bid you adieu, folks. Like Kenny Omega says, thank you guys so much for joining us on the podcast today. Make sure you guys follow me on Twitter at JDfromNY206. That's on Twitter and Instagram. You guys can follow Jesse on Twitter. His Twitter handle is right underneath his little layout box there. Go and check him out. Chi-Town Smark. That is. I was going to say Chi-Town's Mark, but I'm fucking exhausted.
Nah, whatever.
Chi-Town Mark.
Where is it? Right fucking
there you go. Smark, Mark, whatever. Same shit. We got NXT to watch. I ain't done yet. I got another 2 hours of fucking pro wrestling to watch. But Sasha Banks and Io's on the show, so it'll be good.
Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. Appreciate it. We appreciate it.
Guys, check out the... what was I going to say? The Monday Night Raw review off the script this past weekend. I'll be live tomorrow afternoon with NXT. I got to get my iPhone fixed, so I might be running a little late, but I'll be live for sure. And I will see you guys tomorrow, man. Until then, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and Jesse and I will see you right back here next week for Night 2 of Fyter Fest. See you guys later.